So I'm day 41 on a solid food vacation, and I wanted to make this video about just the healing powers that Mother Nature has, and what's been striking me more and more on this, fruit and vegetable juice exclusive diet has been how much energy is packed into nature. Every time that we step away from what nature already provides us, we tend to reduce it. We try to understand it. We try to study it. We break it down into its smaller components. We go through a reductionist thinking, and we want to study, what are these vitamins that we need? What are these different things that we have that we consider to be nutrients or minerals? And we always wind up thinking we get it figured out, like what's more important than the other. Like this nutrient is more important. Like, oh, you need to have your vitamin C. It's all about you need more B12. Like, where do we get the B12? How do we make this happen? And that type of thinking reduces where all of these vitamins came from in the first place, which was nature. Nature provided it. It's in the plants. When you start to extract these little pieces out of it, you lose the essence of what the whole is, right? And that's the same thing that happens in mainstream medical thinking. Is there is a reductionist perspective, and we start to lose the whole human being. So there's the field of cardiology, which is the study of the heart; nephrology, the study of the kidneys; dermatology, the study of the skin. And it just becomes more and more and more specialized. And the more specialized that we tend to look and focus, the more we actually miss how it's all put together. And that's how we kind of fall deeper and deeper into this illusion of intellectual pursuit, which is helpful for sure. It's helpful. I mean, I spend hours a day studying and understanding because of science, because of these intellectual pursuits. But I keep being stricken by how important it is that we continually pull back out to the whole, and we appreciate just the perfection that Mother Nature provides us. And I feel that is a hidden piece of knowledge that we've lost as human beings, is we've lost the ability to understand, what actually helps us to function in this society. We've become so sucked into these different narratives, cultural narratives that, go to school, and school started out as a very small thing, and then over time the education system has grown into where I spent, I wasn't out of school until I was 25, 26. And then, and medical doctors, they continue on with their residencies, and, so it's crazy. People go on to get their PhDs. It can be, it can be longer than most, but it's just like that system teaches us how to be more reduced, reduces our thinking. We have to become more specific in our thoughts. We can't observe the whole. It starts to break things down. It really breaks things down. One of the things that I bear witness to every day in my chiropractic practice is that people are fully capable of healing. And the ways to assist the body are way more simple than we ever like it to be. We look at when the power of an adjustment, you allow that life force energy to flow through a person if it's been choked off, which it is in most people, and all of a sudden just that simplicity of an adjustment restores this magnificence to the body, which was already there, and you get to see their vibration just increase. You see incredible healings through the adjustments. And the same is true when we look at the field of, I wouldn't even say nutrition, it's eating our species-specific diet, using Mother Nature, and that is the cure. That is the solution to our problems. Like, it's so crazy to have to call it, to even consider calling it a cure, because everything that we've done is self-inflicted. Any disease process, anything time when our body breaks down, we're stepping out of harmony with nature. And so, like, getting back into harmony with nature isn't a cure. That's just the way life is supposed to be. And so I feel like this journey is really teaching that, hey, Ginger. Ginger's right there. Hey, Ginger dog. Say hi. Say hi, Ginger. This journey is really teaching me how simple it is to heal the body, because there's nothing to heal. It's just getting back into nature. And I look at that with chiropractic as the same thing. So it's eating foods that are high vibrational foods that we were designed to eat, and just recognizing the cultural lies that we've been conditioned with, such as protein is important, that we have to, make sure we get all of our protein, and the best source of protein is what? It's meat. And realizing that actually came from the 1800s, when they first discovered the protein molecule and assumed that the protein was the most important nutrient. And then, of course, what has a lot of protein? Skeletal meat. So livestock farmers, and they grabbed onto that, and they said, oh, awesome, everybody needs protein. We can sell a lot more meat if we start using this to advertise and talk about it, because this came from the scientific field, that there's this thing called protein that we need. And it just exacerbated this concept that protein is supposed to be in our diet at very high amounts, because it's the most important nutrient. You better not be deficient in your protein. And you also need to have it come from the best qualities, which is going to be animal proteins. And those are just not true. It makes you really start to question, for me, I started to question. I've been doing this for a while, so this is not a new line of questioning, but if it is for you, really need to start exploring the things that everybody takes for granted, right? If everybody says something as it's like, a person who is, I'd say, completely uneducated in terms of the health sciences. Not that education really matters, but just use this as an example. For instance, like, oh man, what's the most important nutrient? Protein, carbs, or fats? What are people going to say? They're going to say protein. Why do they say that? That's been like, that's where somebody has paid for that messaging to get into our head, or into our schools, or into the hospital systems. Like, it's been bought and paid for. Anything that we consider to be common knowledge has been bought and paid for. And so it starts getting me to really peel back on the layers and go, man, what other things have I bought into? And the protein one has just been a huge one for me. 41 days into, not eating anything but fruit and vegetable juice. The past week has been primarily fruit juices right now. Because they're just tasting, pineapples are tasting so good. Oranges are tasting amazing. And they're very astringent, and it's like my body is craving that right now, and it's just giving me more and more cleansing inside of the body. It's cleansing the lymph, it's getting it out. I'm just passing some nasty stuff. Yesterday I passed something that looked like there was a couple of worms. They looked very similar to like thick strands of mucus, not white like worms, but whatever it was, there's stuff from the intestinal lining getting out, whether it's parasites or junk. And I can tell you that it's been like going through a period where it's getting acid out of me. And as more of this stuff starts to shed, more of my awareness expands. my vibration, I can feel it increasing even through periods where I'd say I'm going through like a cleansing or a healing reaction that isn't always the most exciting thing to go through. It's not fun to be on the toilet and, feeling like battery acid is coming out of me, which is totally wild. Just there's that much acidity that has been built up in my tissues from eating meat, from weight training heavily and just pounding protein my whole life. I was the guy who I could eat the 1 pound burger from Fuddruckers. I would just crush into it and feel completely happy and satisfied and be like, all right, yeah, I can have some fries afterwards. And I'm not that big of a guy. Even at the time when I was able to do that. So it's like, how much protein have I packed into my body? How much acidity have I created? When I was eating burgers, because I've been gluten and dairy free for a long time, for like a decade. So I realized how important that was in my body. And I was literally afraid of fruits and vegetables. Like, how do I put it? I guess it's like looking at something that I would just be I would feel hungry just looking at, or I would imagine how hungry I would be if I was just eating like a vegetable tray, right? You see vegetable tray out, it's got carrots, it's got celery, maybe some snow peas or snap peas or something in it, maybe a little bit of broccoli, and then some dip in the middle. And I would just look at that and be like, man, there's no way, like just intuitively, there's no way that's going to fill me up. There's no way that's going to be satisfying. There's no way that's going to provide me nutrition. Or I look at a salad, but then I look at a big piece of steak. I'd be like, that'll fill me up. That's going to give me energy. I feel like I'll still be hungry if I eat the vegetables. So like, that's where I came from. And to see that, yeah, I probably would have been like that because of how much junk that I have on my intestines. Like my intestines I'm still having 3 to 8 bowel movements in the last week, and and this has been consistent. Like this has pretty much been like nonstop since I started this. Solid bowel movements, watery bowel movements, just nasty junk coming out. Solids coming out just all day long. And this is coming from my digestive tract. It's coming from, and most of it I believe is my small intestine based on how I'm feeling when I'm doing bowel massage. Like I just feel these areas that are just stiff and stuck, and I don't know if they're ballooned out or they're herniated or like what the heck it is, but there's stuff that's just caked and I can feel it. It feels nasty as it starts to be released. When I put pressure on it, it's like it feels uncomfortable and it gives referral pain patterns. So like how much of this stuff is caked inside of my intestinal tract? Of course I'm not digesting. Of course I would never be able to be satisfied with a raw food diet in that way. I would be super hungry. So juicing has just been so amazing because I don't have to digest the food. I'm taking even the fiber out of it, so that I can really know that the stuff that's making its way into the toilet is actually junk that is coming out. It's not just fiber that coagulated, and that's what's the craziest is how much matter is coming out of the body on a daily basis. And I've heard other people talk about this, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like day 12, it's like stuff's still coming out, and I'm telling other people, and they're like, really? Like what? Like 12 days in? That's crazy. Now 41 days later, super crazy. And I've watched people's videos, and I know that they're like day 90, day 100, like they're still having stuff come out of them. Sometimes huge nasty stuff. So I am so in this, like to go the distance. And then the things that I'm learning, but I just wanted to say how I had gone from a position of pounding pounding meats, looking at raw food as being like, there's no way, to living off of fruits and vegetables and feeling the vitality in my body. So if I can do it, you can do it, but you got to do it this way. You got to flush out all the junk so that you can experience how awesome it is to actually get that high vibrational food into your body and start elevating.